Hello there. Welcome to my own digital hellscape of the internet known as YouTube. As you may already presume, we have made a few changes to this setup. Having this mask in a quote-unquote unnerving aura is most certainly a welcome change that will be, for the most part, take time getting used to. With that out of the way, I have only but one question to ask. What do you use to wash your dishes? I assume that most would have a dishwasher to take care of the ease of washing hands-on, although, if you are one of those people that throw them in there without cleaning your dishes in the sink first, you are what is known as a clinical maniac. Other than that, I assume that when it comes to cleaning your dishes, that you would use a sponge. A sponge is something that not only comes in handy for cleaning the grime off, it can also serve as a nice heaping plate of troll pasta. Having been served your meal, of course, I assume, after clicking on this video, take your time to grab a drink also to wash down these 3 Spongebob stories. I really like cartoons, so one day I went on Bay and bought a DVD of WWE WrestleMania 2012, and it came and I watched it with my baby brother. I found a DVD, a secret chapter called Bloody Spongebob, so I watched it, and it was very scary because SpongeBob killed a fish and it looked like sashimi. He had hyper-realistic blood everywhere. But my mom called me for dinner, and we had beef stroganoff with green beans. It was really good. I took a sip of my soda, but there was a SpongeBob in my beef stroganoff. He told me to kill me if I don't come out the TV. I finished my beef stroganoff and went back to my room. The SpongeBob looked at me, he was like, "I am after you." And I was like, fudge! So he showed me his evil lair and had his friends tied up.
"I sharded in your beef stroganoff,"
said SpongeBob, as he killed his squidard with hyper-realistic blood. It was very scary. And then he killed Patrick by killing him. As the way murder goes, I wouldn't assume otherwise. I then saw Spongebob. What do you mean by that? As he grabbed took my to the SpongeBob dimension, and we had an epic battle. He tried to kill me, but I am cool, so I beat him and became the world leader of Bikini Bottom and got every fish girl. I set the friends free, and Sandy was like,
"I love you, Jake."
But I was like,
"No, I'm gay,"
and punched her stupid face. Then, a dead person flashed on screen, and it looked real. How did we get to this point? I'm so lost. He had no guts and eyes, and he had no face, and it was hyper realistic. I then realized it was 7 p.m. on a Wednesday, so I flipped my TV to on air and went to the TNT channel to watch All Elite Wrestling Dynamite. It was a special event called Fighter Night or Fighter Fest Fight. Oh my god. No, we're just gonna leave this in. Fighter Fest Night 1. I am going to a live show. It is Fighter Fest Night 2, and it will be cool.
Okay, you freaking troll pasta idiots, this is war! You better stop putting my scary creepypasta into the troll pasta wiki and bullying me! I will wage war on every single one of you idiots! I will not stop reporting you idiots until you are all banned! Who is with me? Find me IRL. I will beat you up and I am mad. I challenge the owner of Troll Pasta to a Texas death match. Meet me in Dallas, Texas next Wednesday. Troll Pasta buttface.
The most sane SpongeBob crappy pasta writer. For fuck's sake. Okay, let's make this short and sweet because we got another stories to read. So, in short, we're rating this based off of creepiness and, I guess, unhingedness, whatever. We'll figure out rating systems for here on in. But in short, as for the creepiness, 1 out of 10. It's more hilarious than it's actually creepy. And as for the unhinged factor, oh my god. 9 out of 10. It just does a complete 180 off of the stupid, sheer bullshit that happens. You cannot predict any kind of money to expect the turn that the story would take you in. But in short, as with every Lost Episode creepypasta, the Lost Episode motifs are essentially carbon copy pasted from other Lost Episode creepypastas. You can already predict what's gonna happen, except for like the middle of the story where it just completely derails from here on in to essentially the main character being pulled into the TV Captain N style, and then him and SpongeBob pretty much so having a fight to the death. But yes, of course, like you heard me read it. You can't really take it seriously, but I will cut them some slack because considering the story and how it's written, I am sure that they're most likely young and that this is their first story, so they don't have a general concept of how to write good stories. I mean, we all don't know how to write good when we're first starting out, so hey, no judgments here. Although the unhinged rant at the end of this story as well is just, icing on the shit sundae. Holy fuck. Yeah, but challenging the guy who runs the wiki to a Texas deathmatch, yeah, no, like, I think at that point, you've lost the plot. But other than that, though, hyper-realistic blood. Death, murder, needless gore, and dead bodies. Like, if we're playing a drinking game, you'll most likely die from alcohol poisoning. Which I don't recommend you play a drinking game to this. You still need to be alive to watch the rest of these stories, or listen to these stories, you know? Anyways, let's just get on to the next story. Shit. It began when I was a child. It was a dark and stormy night. The rain was pouring in my floor. As such, on a night, I would watch SpongeBob on my television square box. I turned the channel to Nickelodeon, the place I would watch the sponge. As soon as the intro ended, I would be amazed. But the title of this episode was Blood Red. I have no idea how this would end up in Nickelodeon channel, but even though I was suspicious, I continued to watch. It started with the Pineapple House, the Sponge House, and I was already excited. On screen became the Spongebob, except instead of yellow, he was dark. He got up and said to Gary, his pet,
Have you seen my...
Before he could finish his sentence, the television's square box froze. I quickly unplugged and plugged the television back in. But this time, there was no sponge. There was nobody. It was just SpongeBob's house, all alone and sad. But my window made noise. It was knocking. I looked outside to see a thing that looked like the sponge I watched. He was gone when I looked again. I turned my television box off because I thought it was. I covered myself up with my covering, but the television box turned on without me turning it on.
Oh, maybe I hit the remote with my foot.
As a child would think. I turned it off, but it turned back on again. I said loud,
Please stop! Turn off the television!
But SpongeBob appeared on the television. He said, in a sweet little voice,
No.
Fuck you.
I screamed as I unplugged my television and threw it out the window into a river. I heard knocking again, like on the window I heard, but this time it was from my door, a voice that sounded like SpongeBob.
Time to die, bitch.
I was scared, so I hid under my coverings. I woke up the next day in the house on my bed. The television was there, with no marks of being in the river. Only this time, I could not access Nickelodeon, where I would watch The Sponge. Ever since then, I have not liked the sponge named Bob. Now, there isn't really much I can give in the way of this story. Of course, as with anything goes, proper punctuation is key, but also just the fact that there's some parts that it's simply unneeded, but on top of that as well, there's stuff that isn't capitalized, but we're not judging it based on the quality and the grammar. That's not what we're here to do. Now, as for the creepiness factor, he tried a little bit. I could see a little bit of, the creeps from Ferdin. That's the guy who wrote this story. But, hey, if he keeps going on, or if he's still doing this, hopefully he's improved. But this story in particular, especially with the unbelievability factor of him having the strength as a child, there's nowhere in the story that mentions his age, but picking up a big box CRT television, or just a CRT television in general, is a task within itself as a child. You need strength to do that, and being able to throw it out the window into a river is already taking me out of the story. But hey, to be fair here, we're not expecting quality on the Troll Pasta wiki. Come on, get real. But for this sake alone, I think overall for the unhinged factor, it isn't all that too crazy. I'll probably give it a 3. Because, actually no, I'll bump it up to a 4 just for the sake of he was able to throw it into the river. But, yeah, of course, you got your standard lost episode motifs. Stuff happens for the sake of happening. That is trying to be creepy for the sake of being creepy. And then on top of that as well, SpongeBob materializing or going out of just these realms of reality to talk to the main character and telling them that they'll die is, well, of course, par for the course. But yeah, there isn't much I can give other than that. Just keep trying, you know. Hopefully he's still writing stories. But with that out of the way, let's get into the final story. Hey guys, it's me, Mykonos, coming to you from the future in this video, because as I'm clearly editing this, I figured that this would serve as its own separate video, because let's face it, I'm going to be clear-cut and honest when I say, it is nothing more than a ripoff of Dead Bart, and you'll probably understand why. I'll leave the story still linked in the description, but in short, as soon as you read it, and if you know what Dead Bart is, you'll get the gist of what it's trying to do. It took something that is Simpsons based and made it SpongeBob based, but it did it in such a stupid manner that it wasn't original in any way. I don't understand how you could do this, when in fact, like, for most part, key story elements here and there, they're just changed to be SpongeBob related, like Stephen Hillenburg replaces Matt Groening and all this other shit. Like, I just don't understand how you could do shit like this and think you could get away with it. No wonder why it was thrown onto the TROLLPASTA wiki, because it was originally on the Lost Episodes wiki. And, you know, I'm pretty sure they saw that and it's like, come on, man. Come on, bro. Get fucking real. But, yeah, I already have a recording on hand, and the last thing I want to do is try to read this story out and, you know, try to put on my narrator voice or whatever the hell and be sick on top of that. So, yeah, I'm going to reserve it as its own separate video, and I'm sorry that I'm apologizing, but more importantly that I have to do this, because the last thing I want to do is disappoint you guys in any way, shape, or form. Because I want you to genuinely enjoy the content, but if I just threw this in here into this video, it really would have done nothing more than just eat up the runtime, and that's the last thing I don't want to do, is make a video so overly long and just make it a chore to get through, as I know this video is already long enough as is. But yeah, otherwise, for the creepiness, 0 out of 10. The unhinged factor, 10 out of 10, because he thought he could get away with this shit. I don't understand. But anyways, besides that point, sorry. I guess that's the part where I say like and subscribe. But if not, that's fine. I'm just glad you're here, enjoying your time, kicking it back in my own digital hellscape of the internet known as YouTube. And with that, I'll hopefully see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.